Hello. I'm Prabhath, and I own a pet pine cone named Tusi that I sing lullabies to sometimes.
Very interesting. Why 2C?
Okay, it's representative of the 200 photos that I took on my trip to Uti once. To see as in 2 century, and
Oh,
but I spell it Tucy, so it's kind of interesting. That's why I name it Tusi.
okay. That's. I'm sure there's more to the story, but this is a good sneak peek. I'm excited that we know this sort of more interesting personal side of you before we dive into like a more serious conversation. But welcome everyone to University Unravel. That's Prabhath Puli. He's a junior at Bocconi University in Milan, Italy, majoring in finance. So today we'll be hearing more from him about the choices he's made, the lessons he's learned along the way, as well as his advice to young high school students like yourself as you prepare for a very exciting, upcoming, new part of your life and new journey which you're about to embark on called university. So, once again, welcome to University Unravel. I'm your host, Arya Darod, currently studying at Minerva University. Welcome, Prabhat, and excited for this conversation.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. It's my pleasure being here. Very glad to be here.
Awesome. We'll would love to start with how, I mean, Milan is a city which is on my bucket list to visit sometime in the near future. A very touristy city, but I'm curious, you spent months here, so I'm sure you've gone beyond the touristy things, but how is it like studying in Milan? How is the atmosphere academically?
Yes, so I agree with you about Milan being so touristy, and it's on everyone's bucket list. Every
Mhm.
traveler wants to come to Milan just to see the Duomo, maybe. And yeah, I think I might have a different perspective from people like that because I've been here around for 2 years, and yes, I think the the sparkle that it had died down a bit because now I'm just a student in Milan trying to get through uni, and it's just that I can say Milan is like any other place after a few days of traveling and looking at the castles and going on trams, but. Yes, it's still great though. I'm still meeting new people. In fact, I've actually met a couple yesterday itself. Who's living on the outskirts of the city, and we were on the metro just talking about stuff in general. And yeah, every day you get to meet new people here. And as a city, Milan is kind of very stimulating. You have lots of things to do. I mean, other than studying, of course. Which is great because you'll have to get outside of uni sometimes and have a life. So yeah, that's how my life is right now.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm jealous that your late night study snack might be like some of the best pizza in the world. So not bad. Is within Italy, is Milan like one of the academic hubs? Would you say it's an academic hub?
Yes, I would say that Milan is one of those places where work is really more important than all the other cultural
Mm.
heritage stuff because it's mainly like it's mostly like Mumbai for India.
Okay.
It's like the corporate hub of Italy, and I think in Milan you can actually if you're here for a trip you can cover Milan in around like 2-3 days,
Mhm.
but yeah, staying here for work is I think what most people who are coming to settle in Milan look for. So yeah, I think I agree with your statement about Milan being the academic hub.
Okay. Okay. And there's also a lot of finance jobs in Milan if you want to say work in finance after you graduate.
Well, there's yeah, it is a home to a lot of investment banks, and there are a lot of insurance head offices and headquarters around Milan, like Credit Agricole, Generali, and Unicredit. So yes, it is a financial hub, and there's a lot of exposure to people working in the finance industry in Milan. Yes.
Great, great. I'm glad you're having the experience. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm curious. I know a lot of our friends from high school are currently in the US, UK, Canada. Some are back in India. Not sure if I know anyone apart from you, honestly, who is studying in Italy. So I'm just curious how you actually landed up in Italy.
Oh well, I had the same denomination before coming here, but yeah, it was mainly my one of my college counselors who introduced this university to me. It was I never really thought of it as going to university in Italy. It's just Bocconi University as an institution was more attractive, but I mean around like 2 months before I came here, that then it started to settle in that I'm going to a place where people normally go, to just
Hmm.
for trips, and uh, Europe as a whole. I think it is slowly becoming a destination to settle down or maybe like build your career from. But I think my decision was also kind of I would like to look at it as a little rebellious because it's just everything at home. I want to challenge the status quo. Like, I have a lot of cousins, as you said, I have friends who've already gone to the US and actually the UK also. But then I was thinking, yes, I need a course that is more focused on finance, but also a place where there's I mean, I think there's little popularity of students, and especially in Hyderabad. I think the first question I get asked is why Italy, but then I don't think the answer for that is it is Italy because it is Bocconi University, and that
Uh,
therefore it is Italy.
okay.
But then after coming here, I think yes, Italy has been a good decision overall. It's just there are a lot of tourists. That means I get to meet a lot of new people. Obviously, it's not home, but then it also is kind of the reason that I came here in the first place. So
Hmm.
yeah,
It's even if not now, I'm sure eventually it'll be home away from home, which is how at this point San
I'm,
Francisco feels to me.
I'm just saying yes.
Um, just from your interactions with a lot of your friends and cousins, as you said, who are currently in the US, do you find any significant differences in their experience at an American university versus your experience at Bocconi?
I think I've noticed huge differences actually. It's just I don't know, the educational content here maybe, and at least the way it is carried out. I think it's very different. It's just the course is only for 3 years, so it's very compact. I think I should say tightly packed. It's because I think we're dealing with like 6 subjects a semester,
Wow.
and yeah, and the course load is also pretty high. But yeah, I think in American universities at least, you guys get to experience the beginners,
Hmm.
fresh life out there, and you guys get to connect with each other. I think that we do it while also working here
Hmm.
because we don't have a lot of time basically. We just have to be like down with it in 3 years. So that's one difference that I noticed. But other than academics, I think it has a lot to do with the events that universities conduct. Here it's all just seminars and sessions on really narrow topics. It's like one branch of finance, maybe like transactional banking, and it's not like an exhibition where probably the college fest I'm talking about, where you can go to multiple stalls and look at people just talking about their own stuff. Here it's just yeah, I think it's very content driven. So that's one of the other differences I noticed.
Yeah, interesting. Um, I know that in my case, and from what I'm hearing from a lot of friends in the US, majority of their first year is just core courses or general education requirements, which are pretty much similar across majors. So it's less of major specific coursework in that first year, and then second year onwards is where some people even first declare their major and then get into it. Was it similar for you, or did you just dive into finance from day one?
Actually, we didn't have to decide on our majors right back in first year, but I think it was still focused on pure math, and it was actually talking about optimization problems. So it was very relevant to our courses. They only asked us to choose a major in our second year, but we didn't divulge into any generic subjects, because I think Bocconi as a university also offers limited range of courses subjects too. They only offer like social sciences and commerce. So I think that's one of the factors. That's why we didn't have to maybe we didn't have the option to explore other subjects in our major itself. So yeah,
Mm.
it was very standardized.
Yeah, that's a good distinction to make. I feel
Yeah.
like some students are very clear about what they want to do, and in that case, a lot of them feel like the general education requirements are sort of wasting a year away. I have a different opinion on that, which I'll keep aside for now. But sounds like you sort of just dived right into it, and even if you weren't taking specifically finance courses, you were taking related courses. Like you weren't taking courses that were unrelated to finance, is what I'm hearing. Uh,
Yes.
awesome.
Mm.
I've been given feedback that I ask super long questions on this podcast. So that, I mean, purposefully, the next question is just 2 words, but I'm sure your answer is going to be a lot more deep than that. So the 2 words are why finance?
Okay. I think you'll have to go back to that feedback again, because long questions are not only questions with many words, because why finance is a long question in my opinion too. Yeah, especially because, as you said, the answer might be too deep. It's just finance was actually, it was an innocent bystander that I kind of shot at. That's because everyone at back home, at least people I know, they were going for either medicine or physics or sciences. And see, I think from my seventh grade, I decided that whatever I do, it'll be different from what others are doing. Okay, because I just maybe it was like, I just don't want to be compared with others, as is the Indian parent mentality. But like, I wanted to stay away from the herd. But that also mattered, as to why I chose only finance over other arts or humanities that were there. One thing that I can say is that my dad, he runs a microfinance company, and he is already like, he's been in that industry for around like 40 years maybe. Yeah, and that kind of, I think it has had an effect on me. He never told me to actually like explore finance, but just the way he came home and explained about work, about what went on in his office, that kind of amazed me a little. And whenever I could, I actually looked at their cash flow statements, and I was like, oh damn, this is how this is how they record how money is flowing. And yeah, money has always been that interesting subject. So I decided in my IGCSE 9th and 10th that I'm going to drop sciences. I actually did not write my physics and chemistry examination in my 10th grade. Yeah, and I was the only student in my school that who fought for dropping sciences out, because as I said, even school, everyone was like, if you're not doing sciences, what are you going to do? There's no other path. But like, yeah, I said no, there is, and I'm going to do it. So yeah, that was kind of why I chose finance. And from then I began to explore finance more. And now I can say that finance is that world where the equation has many variables. It's like and and it's a very malleable equation. It's like it is not based on just one theory that works every time. I mean, there are a lot of models. If you were into finance, you would know that there's this capital asset pricing model that they try to say this investment works if it satisfies the capital asset pricing model. But it literally is the case where one theory cannot explain it all. And that's where you get to be creative, you get to explore other things, and that's why I think finance is very alluring to me.
Yeah, I mean, for all the students listening, this doesn't mean you shouldn't go into physics or computer science or engineering. I just think there's a lot more options, right? If this is not something you're inclined towards. I also personally believe that finance is something which even like a literature student or a computer science student, everyone should know about. And so I personally feel there's a lot of value in taking at least one or two finance classes during your university days and understanding the basics. Because personal finance, I think, is something we all should be aware of. And money is something that comes into all of our lives. So maybe I'll push you a little bit and ask you a less direct question. You're doing finance, which I have a lot of friends who are doing economics and end up in the finance industry. Why are you not doing economics?
Okay. Yes, that too. Okay, economics and finance. There's my major is actually called Bachelor's of Sciences in International Economics and Finance.
Okay.
And I think and I think that choice I had to make between economics and finance. It didn't really bother me about what I was going to do. That was because, as you said, I think the end point we're getting at is. I mean, at least like the line at the bottom of the page, that's just saying that finance is looking at organizations that make up the economy, whereas economics is the aggregate of all these companies. So they're both like two sides of the same coin, yin and yang, maybe. But I think I've not. I've decided not to explore more into economics because one thing is finance was more attractive. It actually had a lot more going on, at least like in the world outside. But economics, I see it as a little more rigid than finance because it involves public policy, as you might be knowing, and how it is very important to control economies through regulation. And for a person who likes to rebel against subjects, even I don't think regulation is a good area to just go and maybe settle myself in. But I think economics is equally interesting. It's very theorized. I think it is just theorized finance. But so that's kind of why I think I chose finance over economics.
Yeah, interesting. I like the way you're saying two sides of the same coin, yin and yang. I'll also probably be doing a lot more thinking on economics is just theorized finance. I think that's an interesting statement. I never looked at it that way. But no, I'm glad we dived into this. Maybe I'm going on a tangent here, but I feel like for certain listeners, this would be an interesting question to ask. I'm sure a lot of our listeners, maybe the Indian listeners or maybe other listeners, have parents who just want them to study domestically. So in your case, parents who maybe just want you to stay back in India, stay comfortable, stay in a familiar and known environment. What was the process of convincing them and making them realize the value of you going and studying in Italy?
Yeah. So when I said my household, I kind of didn't mean my parents, because I think in Indian families at least, there's a lot of influence from relatives, and there's a lot of in family discussions happening about how this child is going to study and how is shaping his career. And I think my parents were very supportive of me going to Italy. It's just that going abroad for an undergrad, it's kind of new in India, I think, at least, because many people, they're worried because this is the age we kind of I don't know, maybe like get a perspective on life, maybe, and maybe like just decide on how what we'll grow up to be. And yeah, I think people who were trying to tell me that I was not ready to go on my own yet. Um, I think they were in a mindset where you know young minds should be molded first, and then given the liberty to experiment. But I think it works both ways. I think if you experiment from an early stage, you kind of get to know that you've gone through a stage where you were alone, you were in a new place. I mean, I came to Italy when I was 17, and I came on my own. I came here alone, and I kind of did cry on the streets for like 2 weeks here, but then that's when I started to realize that it couldn't get worse. It's like if even if you're living alone, you can deal with being alone when you're 17, and that too in a foreign country, some 6,000 miles away from your own home. Uh, I think you're ready to do things, on your own, and you kind of do become a little more independent. That I think people from India should understand. That people, even if it's a teenager, trying to figure out what he's doing, what he or she is doing, it's just they should be given the liberty to decide on their own.
Or just call up Prabhath and he'll convince your parents to send you abroad.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I could actually talk to them. Telling them that in Italy, the drinking age is just 17, but you don't have to worry. I mean, but like,
I also probably, just on a side note, I also probably should Google how far San Francisco is from home and just have that as a bragging number.
you should, and then you should be proud of yourself. Staying away from home.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got into this segment. If there's any parents or grandparents or even teachers listening to the podcast, I think this was good for them to hear. As to why their children or their students or their grandchildren deserve to go abroad if they prove that they're ready. I think that's also another thing, is proving to, let's say, whoever elders in your family, relatives, cousins, that you are ready. That could look different from family to family, but they should have that much of faith in you to set you apart, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I'm just saying, you come away from home and then you get ready, then you become ready to take up challenges. So I think that's how I look at it.
Yeah. Okay, that's an interesting catch-22. Yeah, I mean, are you ready to go, or do you go and then you're ready to be away from home? I also like how you put it. Like, first 2 weeks could be rock bottom, but it just gets better from there. Like, push through maybe the first month, the first semester maybe is rough for some people. I've heard that in most cases, I've heard that it gets better. Even if, let's say, academically it becomes more stressful, the overall experience just goes better and better, because you eventually get used to adulting and living alone. Would love to rewind a little bit. We've been talking a lot about Bocconi. We also touched a little bit on high school, but would love to rewind a little further to high school, just your grades 9 to 12. And I'm sure Bocconi is a selective university, and I'm sure your application was strong and interesting. Just share with high schoolers listening to the podcast, apart from academics, what were some other interesting extracurriculars and extra activities which you engaged in beyond school, which you felt really strengthened your application to Bocconi?
Yes. So yeah, before answering this, I'll just have to tell you that this was around 2 years ago. So I kind of do remember in bits and pieces of what my application looked like. But also they might have changed the admission requirements and the whole structure of the admission process, which I'm not very savvy about. But so I think my application seemed different to them due to relevant experiences that I have. I mean, this Deepti ma'am and Achal sir, who are the college counselors at Indus, they told me that universities in UK and Europe, they don't basically look at your extracurricular experiences. I mean, they don't give that much amount of weightage as US universities do. It's just, even if you're doing something other than studying, it should be related to the subject that you're applying to. So, what maybe an example here would be the startup school in Indus. That's when my batch was when the startup school started. So, like, I kind of did go to that program, and maybe that helped. And there were a lot of other competitions that were basically related to startups, and how we pitch to venture capitalists, and whatever the idea was. At least you'll have to know that a company has this financial goal, and the relevant experience that counts for your course. I think that's one big factor that'll make your application stand out. And Bocconi, I think it looks at your predicted grade a little more too, because it gives a lot of weightage to academics. And fortunately, my predicted grade was enough. And I think, like I said, as a content driven course, it is better to have some strong foundation in your business management or your economics before applying to courses like these, so that what they're talking about right from the beginning. And yeah, that is what helpful.
Okay, interesting. And so, I mean, to summarize also from previous episodes, the feeling I'm getting is that no country cares about the extracurriculars and the variety of extracurriculars as much as the US, UK, Europe, even from other episodes, Australia, New Zealand are slightly more grades focused. And even with extracurriculars, they want something more specific to your course. Specific.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. That's good to know.
Yeah, and it actually weighs a lot that you are going out of your way to show that you are passionate for the subject that you're applying to. So I think that's one thing you can look at for building a strong application.
Yeah, sounds good. If you want to just wrap up this first section of the episode, where we also touched upon the application and the application tips for Bocconi and for Italy in overall, anyone applying to any university in any country, do you have just one macro piece of advice or wisdom which you want to share with them?
Yes. So yeah, I would advise students who are coming to Europe, or maybe Bocconi itself. I think the first thing they should try to do is socialize with people even before coming here, at least on digital media, or maybe on Instagram. Talk to a lot of people who are already coming here. Make friends, and actually talk to people, so that what their interests are, and how the student pool here in university is going to be like, so that before coming here you get an idea of what counts as interesting here. I mean, if you have any other people that are interested in the same things that you want to talk about, and that's I think it's a major part of learning together, because once you have people who have the same same goals, or maybe similar interests, you come here and you try to gel together, and then you start working together. That's when your circle grows bigger and bigger. And that's very helpful, at least in the beginning, to settle here, to get settled, and lead into your academics too.
Yeah, great advice. How did you reach out to these future classmates of yours?
Oh, well, this was advice that I wanted people to follow, because I didn't do it myself. But But then I think yes, I did reach out to a few people before coming here, and I think at least for Bocconi they have these channels on Instagram where freshmen try to talk to each other and introduce themselves to the whole university pool that's coming next year. And I mean, I think the best way to connect with students, at least like for undergrad, is through Instagram. Just be casual. It's nothing professional. I don't think anyone wants to be talking to a professionally serious guy like the first time they talk to. So I think just be casual and try to just make as many friends as possible, at least in the first few months that you're here. So that's about it.
No, very true. The way I think about it is, and this is sort of inevitable, just as teenagers, 18, 19-year-olds who are trying to impress, let's say at Minerva University, first day, all 200 change of us are wearing the best possible clothing, trying to impress everyone, speaking big words, being very social. And now, just a year in, we have seen I've seen almost everyone in their pajamas.
Yeah.
I've seen everyone in their worst moods, their lowest times, their highest times. I know everyone's like, not everyone's, I know a lot of friends, embarrassing secrets. I think the way to approach it is more than professional connections, which these people will be later. These are going to be friends who know you in and out,
Yes.
and they're going to sort of replace family who is just not present with you at university. So they're going to sort of take on that familial relationship and approach it as a friend. Like, this is a potential friend, not just a potential professional connection on LinkedIn where it's just
You're not going to them for notes and for assignments. You're just going to talk to them. And maybe if you're in need of like milk because you're out of milk, you're going to person. So it's just that simple. So it's
yeah.
not too serious. Just reach out to them. And I probably believe they're also looking for people who can be just friends, be there when it's hard.
I mean, honestly, the way I've seen it develop is that the strongest personal friends and the strongest personal connections, where it's just a very personal connection, like you said, you ask them for milk, or you go to them and you just want to chat, or when you're low, those become the strongest professional connections later on. So these become the people who, let's say, you build a company with, who you build projects with.
Yeah, who you call at the end of the day if there's some big deal that's going on. And it's those friends that you can actually be free about, even if it's professional. It's see, if you're trying to approach a guy, just to build a professional connection with him, you're probably going to be embarrassed to say that you don't know much about this new topic that you're going to discuss. But if it's a friend that actually knows, how you only do your laundry once in a week, or I think there you're safe to say that, dude, I don't know this. I think you'll have to tell me what this is about. That's more free, and that's where you kind of also get to learn more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Would love to fast forward a little bit, and we'll move specifically to your Bocconi days and talk about the university experience itself. I'll touch on something which I think there's two ends of the spectrum. Some students, I personally feel, believe that homesickness just cannot touch them. And I think eventually, in some way or the other, it does. And there are some students who are just too paralyzed about homesickness. Like, that's probably the biggest fear for them in terms of leaving the country. So, speaking to both these sets of people, would just love to walk through. I mean, I know this was also the first time you're leaving India to go to a country 6,000 miles away. Just walk through how the homesickness experience was for you and how you dealt with it.
Yes. So I think I'll fall into the second category you're talking about. Just yeah, I've never been away from home. Honestly, I think I grew up in my home too much. Because I think the number of trips I have been away from, even trips away from family, is around like 5 at most. So I think going away was a big thing, but surprisingly it didn't settle down on me that I was away until I actually got to Milan, and I've been here 2 days. I yeah it was like, in fact, I was coming here with another student who was also attending Bocconi, and he was crying. He hugged his parents, and he was like, I'm gonna miss you guys. And in the airport, I just stood there, watching them react very emotionally. I was thinking, okay, should I do this now? I'm supposed to actually cry. And then I come here, and then I realized that your mom is not here to prepare breakfast for you. You have to go and do your dishes on your own, and you have to do your laundry on your own. Then it settles down on me. It settles down on me, and then I start to break down here. That was very, very difficult. It felt like I was with aliens. One day I was thankful to God that people were still walking on the ground and there was gravity. I was like, okay, so gravity exists in Italy, so that's good. It's not that different. So that's the extent I went to. And then it was really hard. But then one day, one of my juniors from Indus, actually, uh, he called me up. He talked about how we were, monkeys in the hostel in Bocconi in boarding, and how we enjoyed, how we tried to steal mangoes from the security guard, and and all that made me realize that it's just the place that has changed. It's a new place, and it's very daunting to come here alone. But inside you, nothing has changed. And the same person, you can have the same fun, and like it just depends on the environment that you're in. Just try to settle yourself into the environment as quickly as possible. I mean, it is easier said than done, but then once you think about how the sun still rises on the east and then sets in the west, and it actually is not hard talking to people back home. Like, even now we're on a video call, and it's probably evening for you, and it's still okay. You're just here, and it's not like you're cut off from the other world that you've grown up in. So dealing with homesickness, I think the only thing that you can do is try to wait. Okay, so think about things that actually say that you're in home, at least you're back home, and then try to find the things here. Maybe for me it was talking to people. It was like, if I talk to more people. I always had people around me at home, and like I was never really alone. Locked up in a room, and yeah. So like that, you just think of things that remind you of home. Try to put them in this new setting that you're here, where in the place that you're in, and then it slowly starts to feel like this is not that different from home. And then you always remember that it's a call or a flight away. At least now it just feels like India is actually not that far. Even Modi is friends with Melanie, so we we're really not that different. So that's how I think I kind of like dial down on my homesickness.
Yeah. I mean, two things. I'll just recap from what you said, which are, I think, very useful tips. One is finding that home away from home. In my case, let's say Indian food would really make me feel at home in San Francisco. Meeting Indians, meeting whoever, like going to, let's say, an Indian cultural event, going to an Indian festival, going to a temple, if that's what you're into, makes you feel more at home, makes that place home. Two, I think, please get on video call. I think the difference between a video call and an audio call is worlds apart. And so I also would get on, in fact, Zoom calls with all of my family members over every evening. And it genuinely feels like we're not that far. Like talking to you right now, it doesn't feel like we're super far. Versus on audio, you could very much be crying and I wouldn't know you're crying if you're able to maintain a straight voice. So the emotions come out, and I think it's refreshing. To be honest,
Yeah,
it's
and I mean, you can actually, think of many ways that you make this your home. It's like, I mean, one thing that I kind of try to do is, calling up my mom and giving her vlog tours of, my room, and then my university, and then places that I went to, and talking to her even on the phone makes it feel like she's here. So it's not that far when you think about it.
yeah, I love that. Just a flight away. If
Yes.
anything ever happens, it's just a flight away.
Mm.
Quicker than that is just home is just a phone call away.
Yep.
One question which was really on my mind during at least the summer break before university, and now after I've completed a year, this is a question I'm getting asked a lot from incoming freshmen or 11th graders is what are just macro differences according to you between Bocconi classes versus the IB classes you took during high school? Like, is there a big jump in any way?
Okay. I think yes, like we discussed, it's about how much attention we get, as a student from be it your teacher, from your coordinator. It's just in university. You have to realize that there are a lot of students that are working on their own. Okay, and it's like you are one of many. Okay, and I mean that's how society is in general. So I'm just saying you'll have to get used to the fact that you're probably not going to get you know that much attention to you as an individual. But you kind of do accept it. You kind of get adjusted to that new situation. It's just in high school, everyone's trying to tell you that this is better for you, but then in university you'll have to decide it for yourself. For example, my teachers were always behind me about my IA submissions, and how my project was going, how my class projects were going. And I still remember sitting down with all of them around like for 3 or more rounds, saying how I can change my IA to be a better one. That basically does not happen in university, at least with your professors. But I mean, if you have a study group as friends, and that's perfect. That's where you can discuss everything. But even if you're on your own, you'll have to adjust to the fact that it's you already have done that in high school. So now you actually do have guidance. You can guide yourself now. It's like it's in your hand, whatever you want to do. It's kind of daunting. It takes a little courage to take that responsibility. But then yeah, that's one of those differences, the major ones in high school life and university. And also I think university life is better in this way, where it's like the same circle that you hang out with, have fun with. It's the same that you're working with. It's like it like you said, it's a new family here, and you're actually doing the same things as your family. It's like back home, your siblings probably don't know the subject that you're studying, but it's not like that here. It's like anything and everything you can talk about it to your friends, and have that circle with you all the time.
Specifically about personalized attention from a professor, which is very hard. They're teaching hundreds of students.
Yes.
Is there a solution? Like, if I really want, let's say, to just connect with a professor on a more personal level, or I really want feedback on a project, or I want to talk to them about their research, what's a good way to make a deeper personal relationship with a professor?
Okay, I think I might be a little, I don't know, in the dark about this, because I've never reached out to a professor that much. I should admit that I'm still actually like very, I don't know, I'm very inhibited about talking to professors. But I do have a friend who is very social about it. He actually, I think this is also a very, very healthy way of building relationships with professors. There are associations in universities where you can do internships under your professors,
Okay.
and there are these programs where you work as an assistant, okay, as a teaching assistant, or maybe as a researcher, maybe. uh, Sometimes you do get paid to do it. It's one really productive way to get close to a professor, and I think even if it means more work, it just gives you a lot of scope for discussion. And I think at least for us, we have to do a thesis in our third year of university, and for this thesis you'll have to talk to your professor a lot. So doing these kinds of things, at least the internship under the professor, research internships, I think that those will help you get connected to a professor, and
Mm.
talk a lot about what you're studying about.
Yeah, I mean, from upperclassmen at Minerva, whoever has, let's say, gone on to help professors with research or do internship with a professor or even help a prof with a book they're writing has started out by being that prof's teaching assistant. So I think that's a good pathway to get closer to the prof. You're working specifically with them, basically
Yes.
like their assistant, helping them with course materials and course redesign and along similar lines. Um, but no, it's a great way to get closer and then seek out further, more valuable opportunities from the
Yes.
professor. So I'm glad we touched upon this. Kudos to your friend who's putting in the effort. It's not easy, but it pays off.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, it's not easy. That the guy is very hardworking. I have to give him that.
I'm a big advocate for throwing yourself into truly multicultural communities. I always love exchanging anecdotes and experiences about the value of these communities. So I'm just curious if you could share with listeners any specific anecdotes or experiences where you truly realized the value of this multicultural community at Bocconi.
Well, I think the multicultural dimension that we're looking at, it doesn't just have to be Bocconi itself. It's just in Bocconi, I'm enrolled in this club called FinTech. Okay, Bocconi Students FinTech Society, and in this, as part of this club's activities, we had to conduct interviews with CEOs of different companies, fintech companies. And one time we were interviewing Mr. Kent Warland. He's CEO of Simply Pay Me, which is a payments interface. And one thing that I kind of, liked about the multicultural, dimension that we're looking at, it's that in India, the digital payments interface has always been there, and we kind of have it in our systems right now. Even like a chai wala has the UPI, there, and people here are amazed about how efficient the system is in India. And here they still use their cards, and obviously they have like a lesser amount of cash transactions going on right now, but they're still trying to get that QR system out here. And talking to them about these things, it makes you feel like there are people who look at things that you already have as things that are out of their reach. That's like only imaginable. But then you then feel like, okay, you also
Yeah.
think a few things are just imaginable and you don't have them, but they have it here. So it's just the
Yeah.
exchange of those things, those concepts that are there, that just feels so satisfying when you talk to people here. And yeah, it's like uh, a guy from a different country has different facilities, or maybe like amenities, and then you are used to different facilities.
Hmm.
Once you start talking about both of them, you feel like sometimes it complements. Wherever you're lacking, this guy has the background on it, and then wherever he's lacking, you try to bring in your ideas. That's really satisfying here. Yeah, that's one of the perks of having a international student community.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I different, especially American students at my university are very curious about UPI, and
Yeah.
specifically we beat them to it. And I really enjoy those conversations. And each of those conversations ends with, yes, we beat you to it. But no, I mean, a lot of value in that. What something we take for granted is unimaginable for them. Something they take for granted is actually unimaginable to us as well. That's where the learning happens, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Uh, this might be again a rougher, more direct question, but again, the whole point of even tougher questions is we're adding value to listeners here.
Yes.
So I'm curious if you ever had an inclination to drop out of Bocconi, and what would be a really good reason to drop out of Bocconi, like, and let's say not even finish your last year.
Yeah, so surprisingly, I was thinking about dropping out even like 2 months ago.
Mhm.
I actually had talks about it with my parents too. It's actually like you asked, what would be a good reason? I I kind of think, at least like, from this deep philosophical perspective, I think a reason to drop out need not be very strong. It need not be like very good, solid. See, for me, I think I considered dropping out because of the stress that academics were giving me here. It's not even that I wasn't scoring properly. I'm getting through. Honestly, I think a student like with my stats would not consider dropping out, at least like typically. It's just that the the output that you're getting from all that stress you're taking, is it actually satisfying you? Is it giving you that happiness anymore? It's like I said, when I started exploring finance, it was this malleable equation. But it actually sometimes it feels like, what if it is more standardized than you think? Yeah, what if it's not malleable anymore? It is losing its touch, but I think, see, dropping out, first thing is you don't need to have a very strong reason to drop out. And dropping out isn't actually a, as tabooed a subject as they make it out to be. People can drop out. It's dropping out exists because it's legal. It's not illegal. Okay. And it's like, if you have an inclination of something stronger, or doing something and very passionately, you can drop out. And it doesn't even imply that you're giving up. But I think, obviously, dropping out of college still has its own ring to it, saying that he couldn't do it, or I couldn't bear with the thought of continuing. But then all I can say is dropping out is like taking a flight, dude. It's like, why does dropping out have to be leaving your university? Maybe just setting yourself a new goal, or maybe just thinking that if this is not the subject, I'm going to get another subject that is very interesting next semester. That is also a form of dropping out. It just doesn't necessarily have to mean that I'm going to leave this university, I'm going to start something new. I mean, we drop out many things. We drop out of many things every day. So it's just not that big giant demon that's waiting for you. And it's okay to think about it, but it's also okay to just keep going, even with what you feel. It's basically your life. You're just shaping it the way you want it every day. It's not even like about the future that you're thinking about, that you think is going to be very important. It's just when you feel that I'm going to take this positively, when I'm going to take any defeat positively, that's when dropping out also seems unnecessary. it's that's when you're like, you can continue this. It's not that bad. Like I said, the first 2 weeks here, it was like rock bottom. Okay, and then yeah, whenever I feel like, this is too much, I think about those weeks, and I was like, okay, that was too much. This is too much minus two. So so I'm still not there. So I think, yeah, that's one way of, keep one way you can keep going. And yeah, that's about it. It's really not that negative of a topic to talk about.
Yeah. And in fact, I'm going to have a conversation in just 2 days with someone who dropped out of the University of Toronto and is
Okay.
currently building a very interesting startup in San Francisco. And so he has very strong opinions about university, about dropping out. I think I'm glad that even in our culture, it's become less taboo to drop out, as long as someone has clarity on what they're going to do after they drop out. And so
Yes.
I'd love to, in fact, a goal of mine is to actually get some dropouts on the podcast who are currently doing very interesting things and walk through that whole decision process with them.
Yeah.
Uh, and definitely being in San Francisco, I was interacting with people working in big tech who were college
Mhm.
dropouts. So,
That's
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's an ingenious decision, because people actually, still think, at least like high school students, I think, dropping out is that word that you cannot speak of,
mhm.
that, you just can't think about it right now. But no, no, it'll come to you. You'll feel that way. And it's okay. It's perfectly all right, just to think that you need a break. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll switch gears and talk a little bit about clubs. I'm curious about some of the different clubs you've been at Bocconi, but more than just the club itself or the description, on a more higher level, what's the value of joining a club at university?
Okay, so I currently am a part of two clubs at my university. Like I said, one is Bocconi Students FinTech Society, and the other is Bocconi Students Strategy Club. So the FinTech Society is, as its name suggests, focused on fintech topics and news that's going on. It's an emerging, market. Fintech is growing, growing every day. And it's very interesting because we do a lot of research projects, but we don't present it in the form of, papers and, the standard what do you call it, the research reports. We make it into presentations so that any reader can read it on the go, read about the topic, and also know what are the current applications of the topic. We have I have been a project leader in fintech since like my first semester here, and it has been really interesting working with them. We have interviewed a lot of interesting people from fintech backgrounds, and data scientists too.
Mm.
Um, the other club I'm in is Strategy Club, I'm in Strategy Club under the marketing department, which is also interesting, where we make posts on the club's Instagram page, and also like to you know get to more students, and reach out to people, uh, telling them about our club and its activities. There are a lot of training sessions in the Strategy Club about consulting, and the side of uh, financial courses. And I'm also part of the Indian Association. It is actually a recent initiation by some of my friends. And the Indian Association's activities are yet to be announced, and like it's just started. So I think we are going to be bigger this semester. And yeah, so about the club's importance, I think rather than expecting a club to teach you a lot about a subject, I think it's about knowing more people who are actually interested in these industries that you're looking at. For example, I really want to get into my private equity club here, because it's it's one subject. I actually interned in private equity last year, and I think I love the, the work that they do in private equity. And so I think it's, rather than the subject itself, even if you have a like, solid grip on the subject, you can still enroll in the club to know more people who also have the same opinions as you, or maybe, differing opinions, so that you can have like productive discussions about. And these clubs mainly let you network with people. As I said, the interviews that we attend and the training sessions that we go to, they tell you that there are people in the working sector, in the corporate sector, that actually, came from your place. They're, sometimes they're Bocconi alumni. Okay. And meeting them actually feels like, looking at yourself, looking at your future self, and then you kind of know what to do, and what to avoid. And that's one way these clubs are very helpful. That's why you just have to enroll yourself in clubs. It's like, whatever seems interesting to you, enroll yourself in those clubs. It's just the work in clubs, it's not really that heavy. It's just, maybe it asks for one day of your week, uh, but it's, the results are also like equally like, helpful.
Yeah, I mean, don't think of it as academics, or don't think of it
Yeah.
as school. Think of it
Yes.
as fun,
Yeah.
learning, as growth, meeting new people, making friends.
Yes.
Um,
You treat it like a field trip that we used to have in school. It's like you're in your school. I mean, you're still with your your classmates, but you're kind of outside the classroom. It's not the same, teaching that is going on. It's you're not preparing for your exams. It's, you can do more. You can apply whatever you learned.
yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's been a lovely conversation so far. A lot of gems, a lot of interesting and wet and emotional topics. I want to jump into maybe a more dry topic, but I'm sure something that is crucial, especially for those of us studying abroad, spending money in a foreign currency, which might be stronger than the Indian rupee. Want to talk a little bit about finances and budgeting. How have you approached that over the last 2 years?
Yes, this is a very important topic. I think I can answer this because I mean, this was the first time I tried to handle my own money, that, at least the allowance that I got. It's just, I always, divide my money into everyday money and fun money. It's like, it's like you will have to get your groceries, you will have to pay the rent, and, that is necessary. And obviously, there's no escape from these, things that you got to, buy and purchase. So I think setting yourself a budget, a monthly budget, is always a good idea. And also, classifying that into, the amount of fun money you can have for things that, for things like exploration, travel, and, all the other fun things. I think that's kind of helpful, because that if you're saving on your fun money now, you will have, more, things to do in the future. And everyday money gets like, runs out very easily. As in a city like Milan, I think it's, it's even like more challenging, because it's just that, you will never have to compromise on your everyday money. But the thing is, you won't feel guilty even if do spend a lot of money for your needs. It's just, you'll have to do it. I mean, there's no other way. But then, controlling your fun money a little bit, it's very important. It's just that there are a lot of cost effective ways that you can research about. And there's always a student offer going on. You just scan your student ID, submit it any way you want to. I think you can avail discounts on almost everything with your student ID. So that's one way you can actually cut out on your, expenses. And yeah, and I think that's how, you budget your monthly expenditure.
Yeah, I mean, more than a discount, I've gotten things for free as a student. I've gotten free museum tickets, and I've got discounted lunches and discounted airplane tickets.
Okay.
Even today, if I have to mail an organization for a subscription, I put in my student ID, even if it's not an American organization. Please always ask for a student discount, I think is
Yes.
the bottom line. And if I had to push you and make you put a number in terms of proportion, everyday money versus fun money, what do you think is a good number, like out of 100?
Okay, so I think you can, I don't know, maybe you can manage with an everyday money of around 60% and 40% is for fun, because yeah, no one should stop you from enjoying life. It's just, I'm just saying, spending wisely doesn't mean not spending at all, because that's very unwise. Okay, you're going to be thinking, okay, why didn't I spend? I had money, now I don't have time. So it's, yeah, just weigh that down, and it is actually based on personal preferences. So
Yeah, at the very end of the day, like let's say at the end of a lifetime, memory is over money. Like memories are greater than money. So spend wisely, but I love it. I love how you put it. Like spend wisely, but also spend on experiences and spend on memories and be wise in that. Because
yes,
university days aren't coming back, right? Like once you graduate, you for most of us, once you graduate.
yeah.
Speaking about graduation, just to wrap up and fast forward a little bit into the future, what do you think you'll be doing after graduation?
Okay, yeah, I was actually dreading this question,
Hmm.
but I don't have a perfectly like certain idea. But I think I'm trying to get into a master's course. I'll have to write my examinations for my master's, in administration or management. I'm looking at management, finance. It's just that I want to be. I really wish that malleability has come back, should come back to my subjects. Yeah, so I think anything under investment management I'm going to do. But yeah, I was also looking at a few internships, which, okay, internships are also another way to get into the corporate sector. But it can get a lot competitive. I'm not going to make things seem easy. Internships are very, very competitive. And I think in markets like today, job markets like today, I think it's very, very tough. But then you don't have to think about whether you're getting into an internship or not. It's just the amount of effort you put in today that's just going to pay off someday or the other.
Mm-hmm. Well, awesome. I hate wrapping up conversations where I feel like I have a lot more questions to ask. But for the sake of duration, we'll need to be wrapping up now. But a very informative conversation for anyone who's interested in finance, for anyone who's interested in Italy, for anyone who is leaving home for the first time and sort of is dealing with homesickness. We've touched on a lot of different aspects overall. But we'll wrap up with the fast fire round of questions. So I will just be asking you a couple of quick questions, sort of throwing them at you like bullets. And feel free to also just be answering in one short phrase or just one sentence. So
Okay.
we will start with your favorite hangout spot in Milan.
Um, I think it's a Parco Ravizza. It's a park near our university. We hang out there all the time. Yeah, it's a great place.
Beautiful. What's a
Yeah.
finance concept that really muddles your brain?
Oh, that there are a lot of them. I okay. I think maybe consolidation. It's more of an accounting topic, but yeah, it does mess with a lot of our brains. Like, every student here has suffered from consolidation.
Okay, and if you're doing finance in university, you will be suffering from consolidation.
Yeah, it's like every finance student before consolidation and after consolidation.
BCAD. One fun or adventurous experience that you'd like to have before you graduate.
Um, so I think I've always dreamt of whole like getting my friend and letting him play a guitar, letting him play the guitar and sing at the Duomo, which is like the city center. Uh, it's very crowded, so I kind of always wanted to do that,
Mm.
but maybe I'll do it this year.
according to you, what's the most unique or just out of the box major which Bocconi offers?
Okay, as I said, it's a very like a limited range, but I think the world the world business I think the world bachelor in business is one of the most unique. It's like it is present in like you'll have to study in three different countries, in LA, Hong Kong, and Milan.
Oh
So
wow.
like yeah, I think that's the most unique. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, if I were at Bocconi, that would probably be something I'd lead towards. I love the travel aspect. Like with Minerva, we have the 7 cities which are going to over 4 years. So, what's a hilarious memory from the last 2 years at Bocconi?
Actually, I think there are a lot of them. Um, okay, but maybe okay, yeah. For a friend's birthday, we went to Lake Como, and we actually danced to a Salman Khan song on the bridge, and everyone was looking at us. This was this infamous Nayo Lagda song where he just squats and they call it dance, and like yeah, we were doing that. People were very confused, and yeah, it was hilarious. We laughed a lot about it.
Hmm. Might have reinforced a bunch of Indian stereotypes about being party animals, but as long as we had
Yeah,
fun.
he was the birthday guy. He was just standing in the middle. He was just looking at us, like thinking, "What the hell are these guys doing?" So, yeah,
Now, college is all about these, like having these stories to tell on a more serious note. Like create these stories, create these memories for yourself and for your friends. Lastly,
yes.
if you had to leave us with just one message or one piece of advice with which you'd like to wrap up the episode for someone who's, let's say, younger than you, a high schooler who's getting into this journey of university and then life, what would your insight be?
Okay, this is a very cliched advice, but take it one step at a time. You've probably heard a lot about how you're going to shape your life in the next few years, how it's going to be so important, how it determines your whole future, and like whatever it is, even if it's like the job you're desperately trying for, or the course that you're born to do. Every day is life. It's like it's not coming tomorrow, it's not coming next week. Now whatever you're doing, that is also life. So I'm just saying, take it one step at a time. It just seems so much easier, and even if today you're just doing an assignment, that can translate into you making your own merger and acquisition deal in the future. So I'm just saying, things come at a time they should be coming at. So it's
Mhm.
just yeah, that's the only thing I think I can tell them.
Yeah, brilliant. And that's just a plus one to all the other pieces of advice and insight and wisdom which are on this episode, and which I'm sure like listeners will benefit from. So brilliant. I've loved the episode. Loved hearing more about Italy, about finance, about this. Yes, take one step at a time is something I needed to hear at this phase. So I'm glad you mentioned this. If a listener had to connect with you, they had follow-up questions, or they just wanted to reach out and build a connection, what's a good way to reach out?
Yeah, my Instagram is just at Prabhath Puli, Prabhathpuli, and my Gmail ID is just prabhathpuli@gmail.com. Even that works. My LinkedIn is still a work in progress. I think I have to build that up. But yeah, these are like maybe the only channels that you can talk to me on. Yeah.
All of our LinkedIn's are a work in progress. FYI.
Oh yeah, they're permanently a work in progress.
Thank you so much. Loved the conversation. Thank you for your wise words on University Unravel. And it was such a pleasure to have you on the podcast, Prabhat.
Same here, feeling the same. Yes.
All right, that was the episode. To all the young listeners out there, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something new, and I hope you feel more energized, inspired, and curious for the exciting university journey that lies ahead. Stay tuned. Many more wonderful episodes to be released on Uni Unveiled across a diversity of majors, countries, institutions, and speaker profiles. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Uni Unveiled. This podcast is just a small part of a much larger initiative undertaken by my family called Serene Strokes to spread positive sparks of growth, transformation, and joy among all our audience. Check out our official website www.serenestrokes.com. In the description and comments, please feel free to share other topics and questions which you would love to hear about from our different speakers on this podcast. Until then, take care and remember that this big word, university, may not be as scary or as intimidating as you think it is. Thank you for listening to Uni Unveiled.